Is there more to life than just me going to conventions and selling my chibi keychains?
If you fail later on in your business when the stakes are much higher, like the fall is a lot more deadly.
People really need to come in with the mindset of maybe this will not work out for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another season of the Creative Confessions, where we talk about all things Artist Alley, manufacturing products as an artist, and small business advice. I'm your host, Macy, and I'm the artist and designer behind Mualcaina, a small business focused on kawaii designs. And as an Artist Alley vendor, one of the biggest challenges is figuring out how much inventory to bring to a con. And while you don't want to bring enough product that you sell out on day one, it's also not recommended to bring too much and have to carry it all back, or even worse, pay absurd amounts in shipping to mail it back. I'm excited to welcome our next guest, who has been vending in Artist Alley all across the country and deals with a variety of products from Ita bags to keychains, on top of being a fellow con vlogger. Without further ado, I'm excited to welcome Emi, better known as Quaphadoodle.
Hello!
So I'd love to start out if you could share a little bit about yourself and how you started Quaphadoodle.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emily, or Emi. Some of you might actually know me as Quaphadoodle. I'm a small Asian artist from Houston, Texas. I mostly focus on anime stuff, but I do have K-pop and gaming stuff as well. Most of my stuff is pretty cute and colorful. I like the idea of my art being like a trinket because I like to collect trinkets. So that is what mostly inspires the whimsicalness of my art.
So what did you do before you started Quaphadoodle?
I was actually in college while I started my business. I started in 2018. I did work in a boba shop, but that was actually after I started Quaphadoodle. I've always done this. Even when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I did commissions. When I got older, I was like, why don't I just sell my art to a larger mass of people? So that is why I started Quaphadoodle and never really had a conventional job.
And do you currently do this full time?
Yes, I do.
And as of now, are you doing everything yourself when it comes to drawing, fulfillment, social media, and whatnot?
Right now, my boyfriend helps me, my boyfriend AJ, he helps me pack the orders, but most of the times I do all the drawing and I do the social media.
So let's talk Artist Alley. When did you first start vending in person?
Oh my god, I don't even know because like I said, I started in college, right? And when you first start, you try to do really small events. So I did. Do you know what a cup sleeve event is? It's
yes, I do.
the K-pop events. So before I actually was mainly anime focused, I did mostly K-pop, BTS. I want to say because I started in October of 2018. My first event was probably 2019.
Just in case people are not familiar with cup sleeve events, can you explain briefly what they are?
It's when you go to a boba shop and you get a cup holder that's decorated for the idol or the group that it's maybe celebrating their debut or maybe someone's birthday in the group. So it's kind of just a celebration of who whatever that day is.
Okay, and there's typically different themes for each event.
Yeah, say a member likes gaming, they might make it gaming focused and theme it with that person. Recently I did a K-pop group X Jujutsu Kaisen, which is very
cute.
It can be anything, which is why a lot of people tend to go to them. If you're first starting out, they're actually really good because first of all, they're free to attend. It's pretty low risk because most of the times if you do these cup sleeve events, they're free. So if you want to get into vending, I feel that's a really good place to start.
Since when you first started, about how many events have you done?
Oh my god, I don't even know at this point, to be honest, because if you count conventions, markets or cup sleeves, I want to say at least 200.
I bet. If you've been doing this since 2019, I would not be surprised if you did.
Yeah.
That is wow. And this past year, I guess in the year of 2024, do you know how many events you did?
I did 36, but I have one this weekend. So by the time you're watching this, it might be 37.
Oh my god. I don't
But
know
that's it's not like I have one every weekend though. Sometimes I'll have 2 events in one weekend, so I counted those as 2 events, not one weekend. One time I did 3 events in one weekend because it was a convention, and then I did cup sleeve on Saturday, and then a different one on Sunday.
Out of all of the events, which one would you say was your most successful?
This is such a generic answer, but of course Anime Expo.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think if Anime NYC or Otakon were a day longer, 4 days, it would have been the same amount of like revenue or like success.
It's funny because when I think about my past events and when I try to compare certain events, I sometimes forget to consider that obviously the events that are longer are typically going to have more revenue versus like a 2-day event or a 1-day event. And I also try to think like, oh, if this con was like, yeah, like with Otakon, if it was an extra day, it could hit like almost similar numbers to like, yeah, Anime Expo. So you have a lot of different products. As I mentioned, it ranges from Ita bags, prints, and keychains, just to name a few. How do you pack and organize your inventory when you vend at conventions?
So not gonna lie, I don't do much of the packing. My boyfriend mostly does it for me. We put like all the small things like the pins and the keychains into tackle boxes. Prints, since I print them at home, I just take the packaging the paper comes in and I just repack it in there. So I know it's compact and not like moving around. I know some people like to pre-package their prints into the sleeves, but that's kind of a hassle if someone buys like more than one print and then I have to like repackage it for them. As for like bigger items, I don't really pack them because I just ship them. I just leave them in the box that they came in unless I'm like putting it on the shelf. Luckily, like half of my display is self-serve. Like I have stickers and my prints all on the front. What would have been in the back for like stickers and prints, since it's self-serve, I can just redirect all that space to like bigger items.
So your display is a mix of, is it fully self-serve or is it a mix of self-serve and like menu style?
It is a mix. It's like anything over $15 I have to get for them, like the keychains, the pins, the Ita bags, the plushies. But since like stickers and prints are like paper goods, tend to be cheaper, I just have them self-serve so people can like touch and feel and like impulse buy them or whatever.
Yeah, that's something that I want to consider in the future. I think I didn't start out with that just because I was paranoid with theft, but now that I see other people's experiences with having a self-serve display, and like we both have Ita bags and we both have like more bigger ticket items, I do like that approach of having a mix of self-serve with the cheaper items and then, or what is it, like you get it for them with more expensive items. So maybe in the future I can do something like that, but as of now I'm like, that's a big change.
Since we both have Ita bags, it kind of just brings people to your table, but once they like see like the stickers and or like the prints, since like they can actually like touch and feel them, they're like more likely to buy them.
From what I remember when seeing your display, you have your bigger ticket items and your Ita bag like higher up. So I feel like that's something that people will see above people's heads. And like you said, it brings people in and then they get to see the stickers that are on your table. And when you said that for pins and I think your keychains, you have it in a tackle box. For keychains, it's in its original packaging. And then for the pins, you don't put it on like a backing card.
The keychains are in the original packaging, like just like the plastic bag it comes in. And then for the pin, I don't like to pre-pack them because I feel like it takes up more space. I'll just like put the backing on there if I have to.
So when you're at a con, do you put the backing card like right when they order or do you do it before con starts?
I usually try to prep it a certain amount before, but if like I run out, then I just start packing, doing it while they're like buying it.
Well, it also depends on the event. How much inventory do you typically bring for each product?
I guess it depends on like if it's local or not. If it's a local con, we usually pack like the tackle boxes to like the brim. And then for the prints, like I said, I put them in the boxes as well. But we usually do like 30 per print and then 50 if it's like a bestseller. Stickers I feel like are harder because I'm not gonna lie, I don't count them. I don't count the sticker inventory because it's like such a hassle. I don't know. I just usually bring all my sticker inventory and I usually put like 10 to 15 out, and then throughout the weekend, since it's self-serve, I just fill it throughout the weekend. We kind of have a not like a philosophy, but like the idea of like selling out is kind of like bad. We never want to like sell out until like it's like the very last day. I know like a lot of people are like, oh my god, you don't want to sell out, but it's not like that. It's like we know selling out is good, but it's even better when you can make more money, you know? It's like wasted potential if you just know you could have brought more. And then it also feels kind of bad when you're just like, sorry, I sold out, when like someone that has like been wanting it all weekend.
No, I 100% feel that about selling out. While it does sound good, like sometimes I'll put that on a YouTube video. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie, like, oh, I didn't sell out. But on a video, I'll say like, oh yeah, I sold out. But ideally, also wouldn't want to sell out, especially when it's early on in the con. Last day, I would like to sell out, but like you said, it's wasted opportunity for people to not be able to purchase that item. Like, it was honestly painful for Otakon when I did sell out of like certain Ida backpacks because they were well sought out, and it's like I could have made so much more if I just brought more backpacks, but like I just didn't know. So you've vended at quite a few big name cons this year, such as Anime Expo, Otakon, Anime New York, and San Japan, just to name a few. Was there a certain percentage of products that you brought more or less of for these events compared to a smaller event? And what was the percentage?
We would bring double of certain items. The way that I see it, if I've never been to the show, we try to bring what we know will be more popular. For my phone keychains, typically they do better in a con that I've never been to, like a state or whatever, because they're like fresher to the eyes. So typically I will bring more of certain characters that I know will do well, like say Gojo. I know there are some characters like they like never do well, so usually I stick to the same amount of inventory for those characters. If I'm limited on space, like if I'm flying out, then I'd rather bring more bestsellers and just like risk selling out of the lower selling characters, to be honest. If I know like say Gojo is going to sell well, obviously I'm going to bring more and sacrifice the least popular selling things, you know?
So for the keychains, let's say, with Gojo being one of your most popular ones, how many of Gojo would you bring versus one of your least popular?
The bare like minimum I'll bring is 5. In the tackle boxes, I can fit around like 12. I'll bring those 12, and then if I don't have any space in my suitcases, I'll ship more. So I'll ship around 40 more, just in case. Because, like I said, we don't like selling out, so I'd rather like ship more and be over prepared than to run out. And you know, like Gojo is really popular.
And how soon in advance do you start prepping for events like these?
Oh my god, I am so bad at prepping. Like, if I'm lucky, maybe a week before, but it's really hard for us because we tend to do a lot of back-to-back shows. It's a lot like I'm coming home on Sunday or Monday, and I try to give myself a day of rest before I get back into it. That's already like Tuesday, and then we probably have to leave on Thursday already. You can't really be like, let me do 4 events prep in 1 week, because you don't know how the events will go, right? It's very like based off about how the previous event went, and then you pack for the next event, and then you got to keep repeating it until like it's over, right?
At least for you, I feel like you fly for a lot of these events too. I think most of the ones that I've seen on social media, they're not always local events. So I don't know. I don't know how you do that.
I actually do a lot of Texas events, but so it's like a lot easier, but I think people don't consider the amount of driving. Driving just takes up so much time, and that takes a lot away from your prep.
And when it comes to these events, how soon do you order product if you need to anticipate for it?
I would say like 2 to 3 months in advance. If I like ever forget or if I come up with new things, probably like a month. For like AX, oh my god, like I ordered 2 weeks before the show. It was so bad, but luckily they were just keychains. My manufacturer is really fast.
That's fast though. I feel like 2 weeks. I feel like I would need a month at least.
I think 2 weeks was like a little scary though, a little risky. I would not want anyone to do that. For stickers and stuff, they're like made pretty fast because they're made in America. Prints I just make myself. The hardest thing to order are like pins, Ita bags, or plushies, because you have to like maybe do like 3-4 months in advance, and you don't know how much you'll sell out within those few months that you're waiting for the new inventory to come. So it's kind of harder to plan. For the plushies or Ita bags, I try to order as much as possible so I don't run out of those.
Yeah, I think for me, I can only think of AX when it comes to planning that far ahead. I usually start, because AX is usually like early July, I try to start ordering around May, because with a lot of my manufacturers, they also have a lot of other artist alley vendors that they work with. And I know for them, they're already backed up by June because a lot of their customers are also doing Anime Expo. So then I have to think like way far in advance. But then usually, because May is kind of like the start of the summer con season, kind of like with your challenge, it's really hard to dictate like how much should I order, because what I order in May, if it comes in by like June or so, what if I already like sold out of that before it's even July. And it's like, oh, that's a lot. But I feel like, yeah, years of practice kind of helps with all of that.
For Anime X specifically, though, when people get in, they order right away. Like, they start planning right away, which is
Oh my
crazy to me.
God.
For me,
No.
I don't think I could, like, plan that far ahead just because I have so many events in between.
And it costs a lot of money too. Like if you're ordering like more than 100 in quantity, like it's a lot. Like that's very expensive. So you were double booked for, as you mentioned, like some of these big events, one of them being SAC Anime Summer and San Japan. How do you get ready for those events, and how did you decide to split inventory for that weekend?
So it was like literal hell because it was after the weekend of Anime NYC too. It was so stressful.
Yeah.
I don't think people consider this when they do double events, but you're not only doubling or splitting your inventory, you're also doubling your display. You have to literally have built like a whole separate display. Like I know you've already done it once, right? So then you're like, oh, it'll be easy the second time around. But then you have to make all that signage, and you have to make sure that the person who is gonna build the second display knows how to build it. So I think that is something you have to keep in mind if you want to double events. But for inventory specifically, since SAC Anime, I had to fly out. I had to be a little bit more picky of what I wanted to bring since I was limited. I did also ship some stuff, but I didn't bring my big ticket items or like bulky stuff like the plushies, the Ita bags. The big items were like, there's just too much of a hassle for me to like solo and then bring all of it. Because like when you ship stuff to a hotel, then you have to like lug it to the convention center. So typically I don't have a car. I would have to like usually get an Uber XL. Like I said, I was pickier for SAC Anime, so I just brought whatever I could onto the suitcases. What I didn't bring to SAC Anime, my boyfriend just brought it to San Japan.
I forgot that San Japan was in Texas for some reason. I was like, we both had to fly. Like, no, it wasn't.
No, that'd be
too bad,
crazy. Yeah, luckily since that one was local, he could have just driven and then he just brought all the remaining inventory.
Yeah, that was my, like, basically your struggle at SAC Anime was my struggle for Otakon, because luckily I had a friend with me, but it was just like, this is so strenuous. I don't like it. Like, it's too much.
Yeah, that's why I don't sell big ticket items. Like, I know I should, but I don't like the stress of having to bring all the Ita bags, all the plushies by myself. If I had a helper, like, out here struggling, then at least I have someone out here struggling with me.
Yeah. So how much inventory would you recommend someone bring for their first artist alley? Assuming this is like a local event.
Following up on the last question, I think it really depends, but I do have a rubric of like an event I've never done before, right? I would say 5 to 10 at least all your inventory. Pins and keychains, like I said, 5 to 10, prints and stickers. Since they're like more versatile and people are more likely to buy them, I usually try to bring more. So I'll bring like 15 to 20 of each print. Since I sell smaller prints typically, I know some people sell like 11 by 17. I sell 5 by 7. That's why I bring as many as I do. But I feel like if you're selling really big prints, I feel like 5 to 10 is also that's a good range. Stickers, like I said, are usually the best movers for me because they're like inexpensive and they're versatile. I feel like 20 to 30 is pretty safe. If it's like a show I've never done before, then I'll just bring like 3 to 5 of each big ticket item.
Yeah, I agree with that. I typically advise 10, and I feel like that's also the common sentiment is to bring 10 of each. And I do like that you brought up considering the price points for each item because people are more likely to spend on stickers. So as you mentioned, it's good to bring more of those versus like a big 11 by 17 print or an Ita bag if they happen to have it, just because those are less likely to move versus the cheaper items like stickers or small prints. As an artist, how do you decide if an event is worth vending again if the revenue wasn't like amazing numbers?
For me, I think it really comes down to 3 things. Is it local? Are my friends going? And do I have anything else that weekend? If it was local and like I did okay, it's okay to have like a filler gap event, so then I would rebook or do it again, right? Like AX Chibi is a great example. I am not local to AX Chibi, but my friends are going and I have free housing. And I also have nothing in November. If 2 of those questions are like checked off, then I'm willing to do it again.
Yeah, I like that thought process because similar with me, like technically AX Chibi's not like super local, and personally I just don't like driving long distances, but also like I just really like AX Chibi in general. But if you're able to like get your costs really low, I don't see why it's not worth trying.
I really like Ikshibby. I know a lot of people don't like Ontario or that area, but I feel like it's a really well run event, and there's still like a lot of stuff to do. There's like good shopping and there's food, and I feel like they've been adding more recently because I've done it since like the first year. So I do think it's growing. Like obviously it's not AX, right? They do put a lot of like thought, and the organizers do care about the event.
Yeah, also having done AX Chibi since the beginning, because this year will be the third year, I've also seen how they've grown as a convention, because I think people the first time thought it would be like Anime Expo, and I don't recall them ever advertising as such. Like, it's really just a smaller version of Anime Expo. Like, that's why it's called AX Chibi. I think people just had a lot of expectations put upon it just because of the Anime Expo name, but you can't really assume that. You can just also assume that, like, because it was a first time con and it's still a baby con, they still have a lot of growing pains.
I hear that convention center, the Ontario Convention Center or whatever, that's like where cons go to die.
I heard about that.
I don't know. I mean, that's like the only convention I've done there, but I feel like it's pretty good.
I mean, it's fine. Yeah, that one, and I think I've heard that about Long Beach Convention Center, like where Anime LA is. I'm like, whatever. So what is something that you're glad you did in your Artist Alley career?
I would probably say investing and actually training someone to like help me and they know what they're doing. I know some people tend to bring like their partner or like a family member to kind of just sit there and be moral support, but I think actually having AJ know what to do, he can like run the booth while I need to step away maybe to like film, use the bathroom, and I'm not losing anything from it. A lot of the times I'm actually not running my table because I'm actually like sitting in the back and I'll be drawing or like working on something else. It's like a good way to delegate, oh, I need to finish this deadline, so can you run my table? I'm not losing any time while tabling it.
No, I 100% agree with that as well, because I'm about to hit my third year of doing Artist Alley, and I've noticed such a big difference in the past couple years compared to my first year, where my first year I always had a helper with me, but they weren't usually the ones doing the main task, whereas I felt bad having them do that, and I felt like I should be the one doing the checkout process and whatnot. The past couple years, now that I've trained my friends who do help me at cons, I'm able to, like you said, like work on art, or if I need to film the convention center because there's certain clips that I want, or I don't have to worry about someone else like doing the checkout process, and it just makes my life so much easier. And I've even noticed, I think when I did AX last year, that was like one of the first record-breaking takedowns that I've had. I had a huge ass table. It was like huge. Like the fact that we broke everything down within like 30-40 minutes and there were 3 of us, like it was amazing, because if I'm the one doing everything, usually it takes me like an hour just to like take things down, and like that's so much effort versus like 40-30 minutes. Like it's life-changing when there's people who know like what to do at a convention.
Like you said, like the taking down, that is literally the worst part of the convention. Like I hate tearing down. You're so tired after a con, and then now you have to still do more work.
There's so much mental gymnastics, especially if you're in a situation where you don't have a car, and now you have to think like, okay, how am I going to bring all of these suitcases to the hotel? Should we just like take everything down, order an Uber XL? It's like, when do we order the Uber XL? Like there's just so much, and having someone with you to also bear the mental load is just a lot easier.
Not only that, it's just like reassuring to like to have someone else there who knows what they're doing. Like you said, it's the mental load, but then you're also not stressing physically. I think the physical part really gets to me, because like it's good to have like muscles around. Like when you're lifting like 4 50-pound suitcases, it can get very like strenuous on your body, especially if you're doing so many conventions. I know it's not a luxury everyone can afford if you have people who are always working. If anything, you could always ask a friend and be like, hey, I'll give you a free badge and I'll pay for your meals for the weekend if you just come help me. Like that is a good place to start, and then if they want to get into it, you can just slowly start training them, which is really good.
Yes, that is definitely a good way to transition that, especially like just starting out, because sometimes like maybe your friend doesn't want to actually work the event. It's okay if they are just there at the beginning when you are setting up and then at the end. So you're also an Artist Alley vlogger, and I'm sure we share the same audiences in some aspects since you also have Artist Alley vlogs. When did you first start vlogging?
Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. But like I said, I started my business in college, but I would film too. Like, I did more like those videos where like people don't talk and they film like their day or like them packing orders, and it's more like ASMR, and like they're talking is literally the text at the bottom. But I only got serious about it this year.
And what equipment do you use to film your vlogs?
I use a Sony Alpha ZV-E10 camera, and then I use a Rode mic. I know a lot of people use the DG Pocket Osmo, but I like having like a big chunky camera. I do used to have a Canon Mark G7X until I upgraded. Yeah, it's a good beginner camera, right? I upgraded it to be a little bit more serious because this one you can also have a microphone. The old one, it's not they didn't like you, but it just wasn't compatible with the microphone.
Yeah, I used to have the Canon G7X. It was like the first edition because I had it for about 8 years. But then I broke it. I honestly was hoping it would last 10 years. I would be like, oh wow, my 10-year-old camera. But then I broke it when I was taking things down for 626, unfortunately.
No.
And then I had to upgrade. I know, I'm so sad.
Yeah, I like that the camera or like the lens is fixed and like it like retracts on it. That's what I like about that camera.
How long does it take to edit a vlog for you on average?
If I lock in, maybe a day or two. If not, 2 weeks. I did hear really good advice, like to not burn yourself out over like editing. It's just good to do an hour of editing a day and then just keep doing it until obviously the video is finished.
No, I understand, because for you, I feel like you just have so many events that I wouldn't be surprised if it takes you longer, because for me, I feel like I have the luxury of getting my video out within a few days of doing con, only because I don't have another event like the following weekend. Because personally, it takes me like a few days to like regain that energy back again. So yeah, I can't imagine if you have like so many events, like I wouldn't have the motivation to like edit another video when you should be prepping.
Because I still have to edit my Otakon video, my Anime MAC video, my SAC anime video. It sucks because I have all this footage, but mentally having to sit down at my computer and like all day and like editing a video. I think the worst part is I can't listen to music or watch any videos because I have to watch my video.
And for your vlogs, do you plan out how it'll go with points that you'll bring up, or do you just go in and see how the weekend will go?
If I know it's something significant, like something significant is happening, say like SAC anime, it was Labor Day weekend and there was a ton of events going around, like I'll mention that. For the rest of the video, I just wing it. Because I like my videos to be more like entertainment, like spontaneous. You're on this trip with me, that kind of feeling.
So moving on to our miscellaneous round, what's the biggest challenge you've noticed as an Artist Alley vendor?
I think how taxing it can be on your body. I just said I did a lot of events this year, and not just physically, but it's easy to feel burnt out. From doing so many events, I felt a bit lost as an artist, because I was like, all I do is I'm selling stuff. I'm not actually making anything. People talk about work-life balance. I know making art is still considered work for me, but I also genuinely enjoy it as a hobby. So it's very hard for me to find that balance. Am I making this for a product, or am I making it because I like drawing?
I was talking about this with Kelsey in like the previous episode, in that I also am trying to figure out that work-life balance as well. But I'm not mad with current work-life balance that I have, because I also enjoy what I do right now, and I'm not opposed to work on my business over the weekend versus other people. They like to keep their weekends free, but I just really enjoy what I do so much that I'm willing to work on it like 24/7. Is that bad? I don't know. But but for me, I'm like, I'm not mad about it. And I think for like a lot of people, figuring out like what's your ideal work balance is really beneficial, so that you're not overworking yourself, but also I still see family and I still see friends. Like, this isn't the only thing I do like 24/7.
For me, I don't mind working that much. It's more like the creating art aspect for me, like because I just want to draw. I don't want to just make products and sell them. Is there more to life than just me going to conventions and selling my chibi keychains?
I feel that. Like right now, I'm currently working on like self-indulgent pins in that I think one of them is from like Psyche K, so like Psyche, Mitsumi and Shima from Skip and Loafer, and then maybe just randomly like Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist. Those aren't necessarily like, they're well-known anime, kind of, but they're not like the popular shonen that is super popular right now. When I was even considering certain anime to make pins out of, it's hard because like I do work on anime that I truly enjoy, but then there's also sometimes where I want to make pins from a certain anime, but I don't know if it will sell well.
My way to balance that is drawing your comfort characters. So I'm not feeling burnt out from drawing like 10 million characters from, I guess, One Piece or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself, but at least you're sharing your craft so other people can enjoy it too.
What's your favorite event you've done and why?
Probably Anime NYC. The vibes there are just very fun because obviously it's New York, right? The people there are very nice. And, you know, just New York is just a crazy place. Like, it's just so different from any other place. If you compare, like, LA to New York, they're, like, on different sides of the spectrum to me. Like, for the con itself, people had, like, internet issues and, like, the traffic was crazy. But I think the event itself is very fun to be at. New York, you get the dollar pizza after the 10-hour con day, and then you go to Times Square.
No, I can see that. Like, based on other people's vlogs, it looked like a lot of fun.
Didn't you go, like, last year for, like,
I went last year, yes, for fun. It was fun. So that's why I was like curious to see how this year went, and I heard it went like really well, especially since they moved to summer instead of November. And when it comes to vending, what do you invest in and what are you cheap about?
So business-wise, definitely a helper, like I mentioned previously. I don't think people realize how much money a helper can like bring you. Like when you're flying, you get the 2 free bags, but then you also get like the person selling for you, so then they're bringing more revenue for you. A 3rd bag at Southwest, $125 for one way. If you're flying someone out, it's like basically the same price and you get another bag.
Actually, I love that thought process, actually. I didn't think about it that way.
I might as well fly someone else out for $250. Likewise, that I invest in are the tackle boxes I mentioned previously. I highly encourage people to invest in good containers for their merch, especially when flying. So this means like both like suitcases and the actual containers for your merch. I just went to like those discount stores like TJ Maxx or Burlington and I got suitcases. Specifically, I always get Samsonite because I feel like they're made very well. Yeah, you're gonna be paying $100 for a suitcase, but it's gonna last you for like 3 to 4 years or even longer. Because I've bought like the ones that are like maybe like $70 and they always crack, especially if I'm putting 50 pounds of merch, right? For the tackle boxes, I get mine from like fishing stores. I don't know if y'all have it, but like the Bass Pro Shops. Or
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure y'all have. Okay, because like I live in the South, so I'm like, do they have them in other states? Even if you don't have that, they also have them at Academy. So I really recommend people to get like the fishing tackle boxes because I feel like the art ones, they're just like not durable. Like I put my pins in them and the box is cracked.
How much are they for like the tackle boxes?
They're $12.
Oh.
And they're like bigger. It fits my like keychains that are like 2.5 inches tall and there's like a little bit more room.
Yeah, I currently use like the art versions. They're like the art bins. And for me, they work. And I've been using them for like since I started. But the thing is, I very rarely fly to conventions. So it hasn't been too much of a problem. But I have been in certain situations where I did fly with those boxes and they would crack because, you know, however they handled the suitcase when I checked it in. So I didn't think about going into fish tackle boxes. That's actually a good idea.
Also, the art bins, they're like really bulky, which is that's what I don't like about them. They like take up literally one side of the suitcase and then you have to open the big one and then you have to pull out the tiny one and then open the tiny one, which I don't like. It's like it just takes too long for me.
Like the ones that I use are like the 12 by 12. So I can only place it, if I'm at a convention, I can only place it on a chair because my grid cubes are 12 by 12. So it doesn't really fit in one grid cube size. Like I would have to take out one grid cube wall so it can fit within like the shelves.
Something I'm cheap about, I don't really care what I eat.
Oh.
When I'm at the convention. I know like some people are very much foodies when they travel. They're like, we have to go to like this omakase while we're here or whatever. For me, I'm okay with eating the dollar pizza next to the hotel. I'm a very like simple eater, so I feel like that translates to when I'm traveling.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I feel like most people like to invest in food, because yeah, there are also foodies.
It helps that my boyfriend is also not picky, so a lot of times we just get like Chipotle. We get Chipotle like every
Yeah.
convention.
Yeah, like at this point, I don't really like eating Chipotle when it's not convention time because I feel like I'm gonna get tired of it, so I just save it for con weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's super filling. It's pretty affordable. I don't know. I just really like it.
What's your controversial artist alley opinion?
Oh my god, I was waiting for this question. This is like the most interesting part to me. I love hearing what people have to say. I'm just gonna preface this like this is not like meant in a bad light. But whenever I see people complain about Artist Alley when they're first starting, you just should know that you are not entitled to any of that success. No one has to buy from you. You are not owed anything. A lot of people, they take the leap of faith to start their own small business or to make their art into their career, right? But that does not mean that you immediately are gonna take off and be successful. I don't know, maybe you are, but I know that's not the like case for many people. Like, you know, a lot of small businesses don't see return until like a couple years in. Everyone has their own journey, and I'm not saying you have to struggle before you're making like 5 million buckaroos, right? But I think it's important to keep an open mind that no one owes you anything.
I 100% agree with that. I think
Is that controversial?
oh yeah, it is controversial. But I do agree with that because yeah, it doesn't help that like the Artist Alley vloggers or the Artist Alley influencers make it seem like we do really well, especially if we're just starting out. Like you said, like businesses don't all succeed. Like some of them are doomed to fail, and that's just how life is. I understand that, I guess, like in some of my older content, maybe it seems like it would be easy to make money, but like that's not really the case. And like you said, people don't owe you their money, especially with this past year and how not a lot of people have disposable income. They're not obligated to spend on every single business, and they're going to be more picky as to who they shop from. And if you just didn't make the cut, you didn't make the cut, and that's really an opportunity for you to figure out like where you can improve, and if not, like how can you save up on costs so that you can profit.
And I don't mean that in like a bad way, but I think people really need to come in with the mindset of maybe this will not work out for me, or maybe people will actually not buy from me, you know? And that's okay. Like, I think everyone starts at that point. No one is gonna be making thousands of dollars when you first start, right? And you yourself, you shouldn't expect that. That is what sets you up for failure.
And I feel like for a lot of businesses, you're more likely to have a longer duration of success if you start out very slowly. I've heard of some businesses who blow up within the first months of starting, but then they're not able to sustain that success, or they expect that because they first did super well, but then once their popularity dwindled or they didn't know how to capitalize on that initial success, they end up like failing later on because they just didn't know. And I feel like the best way to go about it is to just slowly get there so then you can learn along the way, because if you fail later on in your business when the stakes are much higher, like the fall is a lot more deadly, so to say, compared to if you're just starting out and you only have like a couple stickers and a couple prints. If you F up early on in the beginning, it's not as dangerous, so to say.
I've been doing this a long time, I feel like 5-6 years, right? That's why I feel okay with saying it. I just see so many people complain like when they first start, or even when they're in like their first year or whatever, they're not as successful as they thought they would. It's important to just keep your expectations low. When I first started, I did the cup sleeve events. If you do those like low risk events, you really get to train yourself. It's only up from here, right? But if you start like, I'm gonna make a lot, and then you don't, you're just going down.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to figure everything out with your business when the stakes are definitely not as high. What has been your biggest money mistake with your business and why?
Okay, going back on the last one. As some of you may know, I got robbed at AX. So the show itself was not bad, but it's the fact that my van got broken into. That is probably the biggest money mistake I've ever made, because we parked the van in an open lot because the van is oversized. So obviously I can't park in the garage. But looking back, we should just parked it at my friend's house. She lives in like 50 minutes away, and I should just park there, and then we could have driven from her house. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten robbed if I did that. Downtown LA, it's either a garage or an open lot. Luckily, like, I didn't get hurt, my boyfriend didn't get hurt.
What's
but
the height limit for the parking lot?
So the garages, they usually go up to 8 feet 2 inches or something like that, but the van is 9 feet tall. So we all like had to park in like an open lot next to the convention center. And what's crazy is there was like a boba truck parked next to me on the third day of AX. Someone broke into that. Like, luckily they were a business, right? Like a boba food truck. So I like DM'd them on Instagram. I was like, hey, I think someone broke into your food truck. I feel like that should have been a sign for me to not park in that lot. But like I said, parking is very limited when you have a vehicle like that.
Yeah, because that's not something that I would have thought of, just because whenever I drive to conventions, I'm used to a certain, it's like it's always within the height because I don't rent out like U-Hauls. But that's so scary. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Oh, no, it's okay. Thank you, though. I know it's like, it sucks, but at the end of the day, we have recouped our losses. I know I've reordered all my stuff, so it's okay.
So what's your biggest business insecurity?
We talked about it previously, but like the whole creating product versus creating art, I don't know how to really explain it, and I don't want to offend anyone because creating a product is still creating art. But it's like when I sit down and I know that something is meant to be like a keychain or a sticker, I feel like that doesn't showcase my artistic ability very well. Going back to like the juried shows, that's why I like them. Because when like you see my portfolio, you get to really see my art.
I guess ideally, if you didn't have to consider what sells, what would you be designing?
I don't know, because I do like making the keychains and stuff, but it's just like the mass amount of product that I have. Why do I have so many keychains? Like, I don't know, I guess I would do prints, but then I know the print market is really tough because anyone can make a print. So it's very hard to sell yourself because you have to let the art speak for yourself. But I do like the fact that smaller prints sell more. If I didn't have keychains and all the little knickknacks, I'd probably mainly do prints and stickers.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to like art in general, it's easier to portray through print because what you make as a print doesn't always translate well as a keychain. And like more three-dimensional products. When did you first feel successful with your business, and what does that word mean to you?
When I was able to pay off my college debt within like a year of graduating. I specifically remember at San Japan, after the show was over, I used all that money and I paid everything off, which is very crazy for someone to do a year or two out of college, and I'm not trying to brag, but it was just like my first sense of adulting and paying off something so large with my own hard work. That made me feel very proud. That's what success means to me, is like feeling proud and confident in what I do.
Congratulations. That's an amazing accomplishment. It's like it's just more money from there. No longer in debt.
Yeah. Then I bought a car. So
Are you working on any big projects or new products that you'd like to share, or any upcoming events?
So I feel like I don't really talk about it because it's pretty new still, but I do have a separate Instagram shop art account. It's actually called Peko Puff, like Peko dot Puff Puff. That's like all original or like parodies of like Asian nostalgic stuff, and it's mostly stationery. That is my second brand that I'm trying to focus more on, since I feel like Quaphadoodle doesn't need like the tender loving care as much anymore. I can just let it sit for whatever, and then my boyfriend can run Quaphadoodle if he wants. So I'm focusing mostly on that because I want to push myself to do more original stuff, and I feel like Quaphadoodle is fan art, whereas this brand like is only like original, and that really has pushed my artistic brain. When I draw fan art, I'm just drawing like fan art, right? It's like easy to do. Original art, I really have to think of like the concept, the colors and stuff like that. But I will say, I am working on a little plushie for Quaphadoodle.
cute.
It didn't come out how I wanted to, but I mean, it's still cute. I'm still working on
Yeah.
my samples. And then I will be at HTV, like I said. And then the last big one I have is Anime Frontier.
And Anime Frontier is where, just in case people don't know?
It's in Dallas or Fort Worth. So it's still Texas, so it's local to me. But it's by the same people who run Anime NYC.
Well, thank you, Emi.
Yay!
Where can our audience find you?
You can find me at Instagram. I guess I have TikTok, but I don't really use it. I'm really bad at content creation. But so mostly Instagram, and it's QUAPHADOODLE. I know it's really long, but a lot of people tell me they're like, you have one of the most unique usernames, and I'm like, thank you.
Well, thank you again for joining us. This has been really great and very informative. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon and to everyone listening in, and I will see you all in the next episode. Yay. Bye.